Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, which is relatively new and it's still growing. I plan on making tons of videos. It needs more subscribers, like people like you. So if you don't mind subscribing, if you find the content useful and entertaining, please hit that big red button. It would mean a lot to me. So today's topic I'm going to basically discuss is something that keeps a lot of us from doing the things we want to do in life, be that may traveling or opening a business or having a family, anything that is basically a huge step in life that is not always the easiest to do and a lot of times costs money or whatever. Now, the thing that inevitably or undoubtedly prevents us from doing these things is fear. Now, I think we all have our own fears. We all have something that, prevents us from doing the things we want to do or trying new things. A lot of it is comfort as well. But me personally, I think the reason why a lot of people don't do the things they want to do and they get stuck in the same spot, or they don't want to do this or that or try new things, whatever it may be, is inevitably the unknown, which stems from fear, right? We fear what we don't know. Now, I know there's a lot of people on YouTube or on whatever platform talk about this, but I just had to let it out because my personal experience in life these days is the fact that I don't really fear all that much, to be honest, like really. And I think this sort of happened to me over the last maybe 10 years or between 5 and 10 years, I would say. I'm near 40 years old, and I would say my very first trip, which is where I live now, in one of the most dangerous cities in the world, arguably one of the most dangerous cities in the world, here in Latin America, that for me was a huge hurdle. I'm going to talk about my very first flight, which is what I mentioned, and this is back in 2012. Okay, my very first time ever even getting on a plane. So imagine the fear upon fear there, the layers of fear that would be this whole entire trip. First of all, I have to get to the airport, do all of those things that I've never done before. Okay. I remember the anxiety that came over me, thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do this. I almost gave up on even traveling because it was so overwhelming. And the fact that I was fearing flying, fearing going to a new country that I've never been to, meeting somebody that I met online, back in the day, also is another fear. It was like a 3 or 4 layered fear factor, crazy. So I remember the anxiety, and I'll never forget the day I arrived at the airport in Toronto, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I really can't do this. So that, for me, I use that as an experience. And I remember I get on the flight, okay? So I use this as an experience basically to show that you can get over your fears, no matter how scared to death you are. Now, I think I was more scared of flying, getting on a plane, because of the altitude and, the whole crashing thing that was in my mind. So I get on the plane, I've already checked in, obviously, and I was a wreck. I mean, I was probably like sweating buckets. I remember just gripping onto the chair for dear life. It was quite the experience. I find that every time I get on a flight, it gets easier, as it's the repetition factor, and you feel more comfortable as you know that it's not really anything to be fearful of. So I remember I was scared to death on the flight, and I still had to, and that was just the smaller plane. That was the plane from Toronto to New York, and I was going to be taking a bigger plane, like the regular Boeing flights or whatever, the massive planes. Jeez, that was a whole other thing. So I had to land twice, take off twice and land twice, okay? Just in the initial trip of my life, the first time ever traveling. So I had help from a lady who was on the flight, an older lady, and they were flying from New York to Paris. Okay, so she just calmed me down, and I remember she was telling me I flew hundreds of times, so there's nothing really to be fearful. Okay, so if you need help, just talk to me. And she was literally, I think, the aisle over. So, anyways, so let's say that I let the fear get the better of me. I wouldn't have traveled. I wouldn't have made the jump to go to another country, to fly. Probably to this day, if I didn't get over that fear that very day in October 2012, I probably would still be, regretting, oh, I should have traveled. Oh, I don't like planes. People get stuck in that whole groove of like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. I'm too scared. What if this happens? What if that happens? We can't live like this anymore. Nobody. I understand that that's part of being human and fearing things that we don't understand or we've never experienced or we don't know. I mean, I'm living in this city, and I'm most people would be like scared to death to come and walk through these streets because they've heard things on TV, they've seen movies, the regular thing that people pass through and show video of crime and things like that. You just have to enjoy life, get over the fear. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not saying go recklessly. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you have to try and phase it out of your mind and be like, I want to be able to do this. Forget everything else that's happening. I even was able to improve my Portuguese through fear because I was always scared. Oh, what if this person doesn't understand me? Or what if they make fun? Or what if, you know what I mean? You just have to get over it. Sorry guys, just a bit of allergies. I think it's a lot of dust here. But so you just have to jump through and take a chance and go through it. Like, I mean, if you look past the last 2.5 years of this situation, I won't get too much into this topic because I really don't want my channel to be about that, but it has to do with fear. How do you think so many people were controlled or whatever and coerced, whatever you want to say, over the last 2.5 years? It's the ultimate weapon to control really anybody or anything. Type of animal. You could scare an animal and that would basically put it into submission. So fear is very, very powerful, and it's probably one of our most primal fears as a human being. So I think if we don't get over our fears, it's really going to control our life. I mean, I think the only fears that I have that probably I don't encounter on a daily basis would be kind of like you put a tarantula on me or something like that. Even that is still, you're able to get over it because I've had, a snake around me or whatever, but that's not exactly the fear you really need to get over. I mean, it's not like you're gonna have a whole bunch of different kinds of obstacles like that, tarantulas and whatnot. That's just sort of another example. But the strongest form of fear that I believe is the most common is the fear of death. Now, the ironic thing is so many people are fearing death these days that they've forgotten to live. And I'm not being cliche, this really is a true fact. Like, I see it all the time, people are just, especially over the last 2.5 years, but I mean, in general, it's like, oh, I can't do this because I could get sick and die, or I can't do that because I could get into an accident or whatever, and maybe be, there is a difference between being cautious and not being able to live your life and being subjected to an amount of fear that prohibits you from enjoying your life. Like, you see all kinds of people doing activities these days that are really dangerous, but they do it. One quote I remember from a movie, it's like, I think the guy from Mount Everest, I forget the movie, but I remember the quote. It's like, I'm paraphrasing, why did you come up to the mountain to die? No, I came up to the mountain to live, or I climbed the mountain to live. You see, so these are like some of the things that we do in order to feel alive. I'm not saying go climb Mount Everest, not at all. I'm just saying try to find a way, it's within all of us to overcome fears in order to do the things that we really want to do. Like, I gave you the example about me flying. I probably wouldn't have gotten on a plane if I hadn't done it that day. I probably would have stayed in the fear, the perpetual fear of which basically means the fear of death, because I didn't know I was always scared if the plane crashes or whatever. That's just part of the fear factor that we face every day. I mean, I've been to places in my city where I live now in Rio de Janeiro where some tourists wouldn't even think to go to. They wouldn't even bother because it's just the image that it has is the danger. I'm not saying these are places that you should go and whatever, but I don't see that the fear is justified based on a few stories or whatever like that. You're always gonna have a situation where you have to be careful. I'm never said to just go recklessly. Just want to reiterate that. But fear and is definitely something that is not allowing us to live our lives. We have to, in most cases, meet it head on. I know it's not easy. I've went through so many difficulties like that. I remember having to go to a funeral that I didn't want to go to because it was just an uncomfortable feeling, and that it's kind of the reminder that we're all going to go one day. That isn't the fear that I hold on to. What I hold on to is the fact that we are going to all die one day. It's inevitable. So why not use this time to enjoy living, doing things that you not ordinarily wouldn't ordinarily do. If you want to go travel to that specific country, or if you want to start up a business, or if you have to sometimes take a chance. Chance is something that has to be taken in life if you want to live a full life. This is just my opinion. There's no such thing as 100% foolproof. Not everything is 100% safe in life. There's always risk, which basically results as reward. I didn't think that I would ever move to another country. Sure, I miss my home country and whatnot, but you have to also do what makes you happy. And sometimes breaking the barrier of fear inevitably allows you to be happy. You get through the most difficult part of your life, and then you realize, wow, it wasn't really that difficult at the beginning. I have another example, going to the doctor and things like that. Now, I don't think anybody really likes going to the doctor or the dentist or anything like that because you're always worried about finding stuff or whatever. I noticed that if you just go right through and do what you have to do tests, whatever, generally things work out in the end. The point of my video today is I want to try and nail it home to people that if you continue living fearfully in your life, you're going to one day regret it when you get to a certain age or at the end of your life. Now, I've seen countless videos of older people that have regrets and things like that. I wish I did this, I wish I did that. You really have to carry that idea, that thought along with you throughout every day of your life, because you just have to keep in mind you only live once. I like to think of it that you live every day, but if you think about it as a perspective thing, you only have this one life, so make the best of it that you can. I didn't want to make too much of a like, how do you say it, an inspirational video, but I guess that's what this is an inspirational video of stop fearing things that we don't need to be fearing, and then things that we do fear, try to approach it with a more rational point of view and do like an evaluation. Is it this dangerous? Is it that dangerous? What's the risks involved? This is just part of life. Life is not without risk. That's one thing that I've learned over the last 5 to 6 years for sure, especially since the passing of my mom. I think that was the turning point for me, is when my mom passed away, and using her example, her life, because she wasn't able to do things that she wanted to do in her life. She passed away at the age of 57. And I'm not using this as a negative thing or a sympathy thing at all. I'm just simply saying, when she passed away, it made me awaken to the fact that the notion of my own mortality, okay? And that, okay, she didn't get to do things that she wanted to do. She wanted to travel, she wanted to do this and this. She didn't even get to the age of 60, okay? That's still relatively young in the 21st century. Now, it made me realize, do things now, live. I traveled, this was 2 years before she died that I went on my first trip to complain. So that was the getting over the first fear barrier. But then when she passed away, I was kind of like, I gotta do more. I gotta do more. I gotta live more. So I traveled like 4 or 5 more times. I went to Portugal. I traveled other places in Canada, and I just decided that I'm not going to let things like money or financial whatever, none of that stuff get in the way of being able to do the things I'm not saying become indebted or whatever, but find a way that you can do the things that you want to do without breaking the bank. Do things that you normally wouldn't do but would like to do in order to live your life fully. That is my message today. I feel really inspired today to do this video because I've been talking about minimalism before, but I really think if you think about this and decide, okay, I want to do this, but how can I do this? I'm a little bit scared, I don't have the money. There's always a way, you know, make it happen. Look back on your life after doing these things and be like, wow, you know, I'm so glad that I did this. Even film certain things, takes photos of whatever you end up doing, whether it's like a skydive or bungee jump or travel to this destination that you wouldn't normally be able to get to because of, you know, I don't know if I can afford it because I'm scared. Any fears, and that's also another fear, by the way, is the fear of, you know, oh, I don't have the money, so how can I get the money? And it's that ever looping non-decision making situation that you get yourself into. And I think that's, as a human being, we really need to get over that. And because a lot of us would be able to live our lives more enjoyably, you would find meaning to life. And just, I mean, you have to take one day at a time. You can't think too far into the future and be like, oh, what happens if I don't live? We only have today. That is a certainty. We have today. Tomorrow's a different day. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, not to put fear, more, you know, the theme of this video, but not to scare you or say, oh, you could die tomorrow. But it's chance. Life is like that. That could happen. So you want to try and live today, and live every day as if it was, if possible, as if it was your last. I know it's not always possible, but if we don't change that mentality, a lot of us are just going to pass through life and quite simply not enjoy it 100%. I believe we're on this earth to enjoy life, do the right thing, help one another, but definitely enjoy life 100%. You have to get over this fear. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really felt inspired to talk about this and share my personal belief about fear and what it does to us, or what it basically does to us in blocking our dreams of doing things that we want to do. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. Check out my other videos about minimalism that I have. I'm gonna do more videos as soon as I get all my ideas in place, and when that inspiration comes, I'm definitely gonna do between 10 and 15 minute videos. Keep an eye out for more videos. They are going to be coming. If you stayed to the very end of this, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope my channel grows. I hope that I can reach more people with this type of inspirational message. And, you know, it simply is what it is. Fear is a crippler. So until the next time, guys, appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Take care.